FOLAKE SOETAN.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, I like the clap. Thank you. Please clap for me. All right. It is indeed my pleasure to be here today. Pastor Poju reached out to me last year to be part of this platform. And when I got that call, I was surprised and shocked because last year, I was at the platform supporting one of my very dear sisters, Tara Ture and Ndidi, who was invited to speak at the platform. And I thought, wow, what an audience, what an opportunity to impact. So when he called me, I felt deeply honored. So I want to use this opportunity to say a big thank you to Pastor Poju and Pastor Toyin for inviting me to speak and share some of my own experiences on entrepreneurship. I would also like to thank and acknowledge the different speakers that have spoken before me. I mean, you must agree with me, they did a fantastic job. The problem, however, and I said to OC, is literally everything I'm about to speak about, they have touched on. So I'm thinking, and I'm sitting down there and cross-correcting, and that is actually entrepreneurship. What am I going to do differently? How am I going to match or recreate some of the things they've said? I was going to say, one of the things that I know they said, and I thought, oh God, I looked at my team member. I was going to say, you know, there's a saying that says, because I've gotten that a lot of times, is it your father's company? That I was going to say that, and it was supposed to be my icebreaker. Being said, right? I also thought, oh, when I saw Pastor Pojo walk in, I would ask everyone to get up and clap for him. That had been taken as well. But I'm just going to go into it. And what I'm going to try and do today is talk to you about entrepreneurship. But I'm going to look at it from the perspective of encouraging middle managers and senior managers to try and ensure you understand the importance of entrepreneurship, and then you take the responsibility of creating entrepreneurs in your organization. So, my side moving. Okay. If you look at this slide, what do you see? Does anybody recognize anything in this slide? Please, can somebody just shout? What do you recognize? PlayStation. Remember somebody put it up. When I saw that, I thought, you see, my slide again. But who do you see beside in that picture? Does anybody recognize the person in that picture? Okay, his name is Ken Kutaragi. And Ken Kutaragi is an electronic engineer. Ken Kutaragi is also the visionary behind PlayStation. Ken joined Sony Digital Research Lab in the mid-1970s. And his reputation as an excellent problem solver and someone that is forward-thinking quickly grew within the organization. In 1989, Kutaragi bought his daughter a Famicom, what's it called? A Famicom Nintendo console. And he noticed that while his daughter was playing with this Nintendo, the quality of the sound wasn't very good. And because of his experience as an engineer, he decided very quickly that he would build a sound chip that would improve the quality of the Nintendo sound. And as he did that, and that improved that particular Nintendo, he got the idea and he saw the opportunity that Sony could take advantage. And he very, very quickly approached his bosses at Sony. And he said to them, we could do this. We can deploy the sound chip that I discovered to improve Nintendo and sell it to Nintendo. But at the time, the vision and the plan of Sony didn't align with what he identified as an opportunity, so they discarded it. However, he was driven by this passion, and he continued to build that particular chip. And even though he was still a staff of Sony, he was consulting with Nintendo on the side. And his job, he almost lost his job because Sony found out that he was consulting. But what happened was his boss at Sony quickly recognized the opportunity and decided to support him. And what did that happen? And what happened? Ken began to lead the charge internally in Sony. He worked with different stakeholders internally to try and develop this chip, which was something they were going to sell to Nintendo. Unfortunately, even though they got a contract with Nintendo, that's Sony, it fell through and they didn't do it. But what then happened was that they decided as Sony to develop that particular gaming application in Sony. And in 1994, Sony officially revealed the PlayStation at the Tokyo Game Show. And this singular act revolutionized, I beg your pardon, the gaming industry, and Kotagare's persistence and the fact that he saw an opportunity to make a difference obviously impacted his company. So let me put that in context for you. As at 2022 financial year end, PlayStation 5, PS5, as you all know, delivered 26.9 billion in revenue. And they had, at that time, sold about 19 million units of PS5. The PlayStation hardware sales contributed 31% of Sony's total earnings for that particular year. As at March 2023, a total of 38.4 million cumulative sales had been made of PS5. Just process that. He's a staff. He eventually obviously grew to become the chairman, I think the CEO of Sony. But how did he achieve that? What are the lessons here? There are many lessons you can take from here, from a Kotagare's perspective, from the middle manager or senior manager's perspective, from the corporate organization's perspective. So some of the lessons I thought I would share. It is important that we think beyond our industry norms. Innovation often lies in intersections of these cross-disciplines. It is key to believe and be resilient and have the spirit of conviction, because sometimes that persistence and conviction usually turns skeptics into believers, which we saw in this particular case. It's also important to promote interdisciplinary collaboration among our team members, because you never know what we see and what I have seen in my own experiences. Great ideas usually come from diverse minds. So it is important as middle managers, as leaders, as senior managers to create an environment that encourages that. And lastly for me is to also see the importance of calculated risk with regards to being able to drive innovation. Is very key. We should not be afraid of disruption. In fact, we must embrace it. Very important. See, I don't like this slide thing. Okay, I've even jumped. Okay, I'm just going to speak. Thank God I have the paper here. So, it's important for us to understand again what is entrepreneurship. And I'll just say it like this. Imagine today, you're working in a company, but you have this really brilliant and cool idea that you think will really make a difference or even make things better. But you are not the boss. But you decide to act like one on this particular idea. So what do? You decide to take charge. You decide to identify the different people that are stakeholders within your department or your unit or other department. And you meet with them, you sell the idea to them, and you start to drive collaboration amongst these different stakeholders to come up with, to at least deliver on this idea. That, in essence, is intrapreneurship. Because what you are doing, literally, is trying to develop an idea, even though it is not your organization, you don't own a company, but that idea would make a difference to the performance and the activity of that organization. So when I think about entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship, they're literally the same thing. The only difference is that the entrepreneur owns the business. With intrapreneurship, you are doing it within the organizations. And there's certain skills that come to mind when I think about entrepreneurs. They're disruptors. They are innovators. They are solution-driven. They think of value. All they're processing and thinking about is value. How can I make a difference and how can I add value? When Olumide was speaking, he spoke about how he took a pay cut to make a difference or to solve a problem. We've heard about care today, and that is what is driving you to make a difference. So, what is the value of entrepreneurship today? The reality today is that many companies move with times, and we try to adopt the more progressive approaches in running our organizations. However, a lot of them still operate in the traditionally structure rather than the progressive structure, and as such, growth is sometimes stifled. So, entrepreneurship is useful in kind of bridging that gap, and it usually gives room for innovation to sustain a business. So what is the importance of entrepreneurship? It brings about fresh ideas. Entrepreneurship come up with the new ways to solve problems that they've identified, and it doesn't have to come from the boss. It also helps to find opportunity and take advantage of opportunity. Also, there are financial benefits. The entrepreneurs are able to identify ways to improve operational efficiency, ways to streamline process, ways to reduce waste, or even develop more cost-effective solutions that ultimately save the organization money. Employee engagement is also something that is very critical for entrepreneurship. It helps employees feel connected and valued, thus boosting motivation of people that work in an organization. And of course, it also enhances the brand of a company. A company that is known for fostering entrepreneurship is seen as an innovative and a forward-thinking and attractive and attracts top talent. But like I said, there is progressive and traditional structures in organizations today. So what are the characteristics of some of these traditional organizations? I would say for traditional organizations, they are risk-averse. The emphasis is placed on stability rather than predictability. New ideas are often scrutinized. They're heavily calculated risk that are applied. They have long decision cycles. They're hierarchical in structure. They have a way of having specialized approaches to the things that they do in the organization. And they have fixed organizational boundaries. Whereas with the progressive organizational structure, you find that risk-taking is encouraged. The willingness to take risks, to experiment, and try new things. This is often as a result of also encouraging failure. And failure, as we've heard and established in the course of the presentation today, is something that is good for anyone that wants to grow or make a difference. Progressive organizations also, they are very agile and they're adaptable. The ability to be able to adapt quickly is essential for any business to succeed today. So it is critical and important that we encourage an environment that is progressive and encourages people to think outside of the box. Also, with progressive environments or structure, we see exponential growth strategy. This involves implementing initiatives and processes that usually enable rapid and scalable expansion. And I can give examples of where I work today, where we have consistently just leverage on technology to improve our operational efficiency in the business. So what are the roles managers play in driving entrepreneurship? I think it's critical that we build a supportive environment that encourages entrepreneurs. Collaboration and knowledge sharing is critical. It's critical that we encourage cross-functional collaborations between teams and come up with incentives that encourage people that come up with joint ideas. It's also important that we focus on learning, providing programs and platforms that help develop thinking of design or prototype, business models, where you are owning and taking ownership of processes. A critical element is also celebrating the entrepreneurial spirit. It's important that we create a culture that values innovation, that values risk, that allows people to express themselves freely. And we must empower employees. It's the role and the job of a manager to empower the employees to recognize what they are contributing, to ensure that they communicate the vision to the people that work in their team. And it's important to show that you tolerate risk. Creating a culture that celebrates calculated risk and the outcome, whether positive or negative, is critical for managers. It is not the head of the business that's going to do that. It's the manager that's going to ensure that happens at the end of the day. And also, we need to begin to encourage what-if thinking. Managers can facilitate brainstorming sessions and encourage employees to explore unconventional ideas that could lead to groundbreaking innovation. And of course, it's good that we promote open communication and recognition. This is critical. A lot of people focus on things that are not working. And as such, we unconsciously spend more time identifying and focusing on what didn't go well. We must be encouraged as managers to commend, to recognize, and celebrate people who have come up with ideas that are risky, that even failed. Because even in that failure, you can learn lessons on how you can do that same idea in a better way for the good of the organization. So what is the role of the senior manager? For me, I think the approach to senior managers will be more of an engaging one. I think the senior managers play a critical role in cultivating an entrepreneurial culture within any organization. It's important they have the leadership support and vision alignment. It is the role of the senior manager to ensure that they understand the vision and they're able to effectively communicate that vision to members of the team so that they have the confidence to be able to come up with ideas and execute those ideas effectively. It's also the job of a senior manager to allocate resources effectively. And I'll use an example of when I worked in an organization that needed to expand into Ghana. At the time, all we had was, we had a license to be able to import and export petroleum product. And my job was to go to Ghana with a team. In fact, not with the team. There was an existing team there to go to Ghana and use that license to create opportunities. The second thing that I had to do in Ghana at the time was to turn around an existing business that wasn't doing as well. And the third assignment that we had was to create an existing business that already existed in Lagos and replicate same in Ghana. And what did that do? We had to leverage on the existing teams there, leverage on their strength, leverage on their knowledge of the market. We had to literally be entrepreneurs because we were given a mandate. We didn't have a budget. We didn't have the know-how for some of the businesses. But what happened was that our focus and objective at the time was to create a new business. And we had to encourage the resources that we had on ground to be able to develop these useful ways to, achieve the business objective. And the reality is that I have a team member today in that same group who has left the organization but has also created another business. So the point of this is that when you're working as an entrepreneur in an organization and you're taking that organization as though it is yours, what you're doing is that you are developing capabilities to be able to actually start another business if you choose not to continue on the corporate line. So there is no loss. You are actually working for yourself. You are developing yourself. You are developing resilience. And the truth is that when you are an entrepreneur, you are thinking about creating value. You are thinking about solving problems. And what that does for you as an individual is that you will always add value and make a difference. And when you're someone that adds value and makes a difference, you will always be sought after, either in your organization. I told you, I have worked in my current organization now for 15 years. And in that 15 years, I have done 3 different types of jobs. I've worked in a business that was selling aviation fuel. I worked in a business, and that business just needed a turnaround. From that experience, I've gone into the Ghana, which I mentioned, where I had to create 3 new businesses with the team. Today, I am working in the power sector. And as you all know, that is a very difficult sector. But you know what? I'm smiling and laughing because all the lessons learned as I was working as an entrepreneur in Ghana, where there was no license. We had a license, but no resources. At the time I was working in Ghana, right? Ghana, when I had that license, we had a business that was selling petroleum products. We used to buy our products in dollars, but we're selling in local currency, CD. What is happening in Nigeria now was happening then. So this CD was devaluing as Naira is devaluing then. And we're not selling the products on cash, it's on credit. So you sell the product for 30 days, it takes 30 days for them to pay. So at the end of 60 days, you are in a hole. How do you come out of that? I'm not the owner of the business, but I'm tasked with the team to come up with creative ways. But what did we do? We had to use the license we had to be able to find other businesses that can mitigate the loss that we were experiencing from that particular transaction. And that's how we went into the Burkina Faso of this world, Guinea-Conakry, who were people who wanted to buy petroleum products in Ghana, but they're willing to pay dollar. Now, this is not my organization. Everything that we did in that process, if I had my business, would I do it differently? No. Would the team do it differently? No. One of those team members today has her own business, works in the group, has a business that is doing exactly the same thing as the organization. Where did she learn that from? Where did she learn the skills to be able to have the audacity to create a business? From working in that group. So I guess my message today is entrepreneurship is a good thing. It is not about you or the organization. So when they say, is it your father's business? It is actually your business, even though they didn't give you shares, because you are developing yourself. You are working for yourself. You are developing skills that can help you survive either in corporate or as an entrepreneur. You are developing skills that help you in your day-to-day life. So for me, I'm a solutions person. As I'm sitting down here, every time I'm thinking, what's plan B, plan C, plan D? I told you I was sitting down there and cross-correcting, okay, what's next now? What am I going to do? That will be different because everybody has spoken about what I want to speak about. So the point is that, and my message is, entrepreneurial skills, it is for you. And if you understand that it's for you, you will stop seeing the limitations of they're not paying you well, or they didn't promote you. See, upon all your job, all the jackie you did, they did not promote you, or they did not give you a bonus, or you don't have a car, or they did not recognize you. No! You are the one that is being developed. And you are the one that is also getting that growth. And as you're getting that growth, your organization is also getting benefit of that growth. I see my time is going, so I'm going to very, very quickly run through the slides. So, I just have this slide that I want to show us here. And I just have some questions for us to look at. And in this short slide, what I want us to look at as business leaders, as senior managers or managers, right, is would you say that if you look at your organization today, can you move to that slide? No. Yes. So look at this slide. Are there things that you do today? Any of these things, do they resonate with you? How are you with regards to new ideas? Do you enforce cumbersome approval mechanisms and rules in your organization? Do you treat problem identification as a sign of failure? Do you want to control everything as a manager, as a senior manager? Do you plan reorganizations in secret? Do you keep tight control of information and delegate unpleasant duties to your inferior team members or to your team members or your junior team members? Do you keep tight control of information? If you have any of these things that happens to you today, it's a time for you to rethink and think of the best way to be able to encourage entrepreneurship in your organization. So to reiterate, the importance of entrepreneurship in moving an organization forward is to emphasize the fact that managers at different levels can be a part of this, including the medium-level managers, the senior managers, and we must start from our area of influence so that together we will make a difference. Thank you.